ESPN, the world leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. IHRA Championship Drag Racing comes to the hills of central New York State to New York International Raceway Park, site of the fifth event on the 1994 championship, the Snap-on Tools Empire Nationals, presented by Parts Pro.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Bob Barsha, and I don't mind telling you it is sticky up here in central New York State. Nevertheless, now in its 7th year, the Snap-on Tools Empire Nationals has quickly developed a reputation for surprises. Consider that just a year ago, Pontiac Jack Ostrander, a top fuel regular in IHRA competition, won his first national event title in over 6 years of trying. And we expect more of that kind of excitement again this weekend. With me to call the action, as ever, ESPN drag racing analyst Ted Jones. Ted, I would guess Top Fuel is what everyone's going to be watching again this year.
Well, indeed they are, especially with the up-and-coming new star, Rhonda Hartman, who set the whole world on its ear down in Steele, Alabama just a few weeks ago. However, consider, this event has been the one unpredictable event on the IHRA trail. Add to that, who has turned up here but reigning world champion Richard Langston. So what's going to happen in Top Fuel? Once again, Bob, it'll probably be the unpredictable event.
No question about it. We also have a full boat of alcohol funny cars, pro mods, and pro stocks. But the big question, the weather. We've had on and off rain showers all weekend. For what the weather means to a drag racer, let's get to the third member of our ESPN drag racing broadcast team. Here's Brett Kepner.
I'll be honest with you, gentlemen. I don't think there's a single team on the grounds here at New York International Raceway Park that is going to be able to tell what's going on with the weather. This has been one of the craziest weather weekends in IHRA's recent history. The first day of qualifying, it was unbearably hot and humid, so much so that nobody really put down any good performances. But then a low-pressure system that was supposed to move through at the end of qualifying moved through very early, and that made the second day of qualifying an extremely fast situation. But now on race day, it's nuts. One time it's raining, the next minute it's crystal clear. So I don't think anybody is really going to be able to predict what's going to happen next, and that's going to be the deciding factor in eliminations for most of the teams. Who can predict how to get down the track under whatever conditions happen to be around at the moment? Now, there's only one team in the pro classes that has really proven that they can get down this track consistently, and that's the Bailey and Pfeiffer Top Fuel dragster team that is currently leading the Top Fuel World Points Championship. Their crew chief, Ronnie Swearingen, has been absolutely amazing this weekend in his ability to predict what's going to happen next and tune the car accordingly. That may be what gives them an edge in eliminations. Either way, it's going to be a wild one. What are the weather stats, Bob Barsha?
Well, Brett, they look like this. Temperature 80 degrees, but expected to drop throughout the afternoon. A strong wind blowing from the drivers' backs as they move down the quarter mile. Partly cloudy skies, a chance of rain. Now let's recall final round qualifying and our regular feature, the Scotchgard Automotive Protectors 3M Night of Fire, featuring all of our top qualifiers in action. Watch the right-hand lane as Floyd Cheek makes his bid for the #1 plate in Pro Stock.
Remember, these guys are running for Sunoco Pro Stock Showdown points, too. And then in Pro Modified, running for the Kershaw Knives Shootout, Scotty Cannon, #1. Well, what else is due?
In Top Fuel, Jim Bailey, the points leader in the far lane, with a runner-up performance and a victory already this year, takes the #1 spot at $5.15.
And that $5.15 picked him up a $2,500 bonus from Torco Oil.
Now finally in alcohol funny cars. In the near lane, former world champ Mark Thomas, lots of problems. In the far lane, Walt Frizable knocks down the #1 qualifying spot at 6:12, 230 miles an hour. Then, of course, the coup de grace, the most incredible act in all of motorsports. Bob Moats in his 20,000 horsepower jet-thrusted Kenworth semi-truck, ladies and gentlemen.
Watch how the torque of this huge jet motor actually rocks that body as he pulls it into staging. Add the fire out of the pipes, the smoke, and off the line he comes. What a show, Bob.
Last year, he knocked down the fences here at New York International Raceway Park. This year, as usual, he wowed the crowd. And a spectacular night of fireworks followed. 204 miles an hour in the dark, sitting on top of a rocket. This ESPN Speed World presentation is brought to you by Quaker State, the intelligent oil for longer engine life. We'll take a quick time out and return with Pro Mod. Back at New York International Raceway Park, Bob Barsha, Ted Jones, and Brett Kepner, glad to have you with us. We'll kick things off with Pro Stock. Quarterfinal action, you just saw Harold Denton from Middlesex, North Carolina, right there in that beautiful black 94 Pontiac Firebird. His opponent, the professor himself, in the Ford in the far lane from Sophia, North Carolina, Roy Hill.
Roy Hill has not been storming on this track like he had previously. He ran a 7:10 in the most previous round, qualified number 5. You're on board with Roy Hill and the Advanced Auto Parts in-car cam as he hits the finish line to find out that he lost. Harold Denton wins with a 7:07. Hill pushed it to the limit and picked up a big red light, Bob.
That's right. As you looked out the side window of Roy's car, you saw him leave Harold Denton. That's because he left too quickly. He red-lighted his chances away.
Well, you know, they say if you don't red light once in a while, you're getting too slow.
Now here is John Koenigshofer, who's been a revelation of the IHRA Pro Stock Tour this year from Otterville, Ontario. In the first round, all he did was knock off the former world champion, Billy Huff.
And both of them ran exactly 7.00 seconds.
Now he goes up against a fellow Ford competitor, young Robert Patrick, the winner at the Bristol Spring Nationals, and it's a red light for the Canadian Koenigshofer.
Koenigshofer, a 3.33, a big red light. Actually, Patrick would have red lighted too because he cranked a 3.92, but the computer picks up only the first red light, and it's over at that point.
So Patrick advances. Now here comes Charlie Garrett. There's something strange going on here at the starting line. Let's hear from Brett.
7:02 isn't, well, actually, it is a tremendous improvement now, but I should point out that you obviously moved when you saw the other car move there, because even you were ahead of a 400.
Well, this car's all over the track, and we're getting it squared away right now. You know, I think we got a good chance to win this thing. These boys keep wanting to mess with me on the starting line. I said, but I'm going to teach them all a lesson.
Worked that time.
Well, yeah, if you consider a red light teaching someone a lesson. Let's move on to our next pair. Charlie Garrett, winner of the season opening Darlington Winter Nationals. There you see the data acquisition system being activated on Floyd Cheek's car. Charlie Garrett, a 35-year drag racing veteran, doesn't use one.
Charlie Garrett says he doesn't need it. Oh, a hole shot for Charlie Garrett. Here comes Floyd Cheek. Garrett forced to lift and shut it down. Cheek is on a run, 694.
201.56 miles an hour. Floyd Cheek will be someone to watch. So it'll be Cheek versus Denton, and Robert Patrick taking on Doug Kirk, who had an easy run around John Noble. Let's hear from the defending champ.
Surprised that, in all seriousness, it's not cool enough out there that the track is just getting cold.
I don't know what the track's doing. You know, all weekend it's been real loose in the middle, and now it seems to be coming around. We're just feeding the clutch back in it, and we've not got enough in it yet.
It's changing minute by minute.
Yeah, I think it's getting better.
That's good news for everyone. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Back at New York International Raceway Park, the Snap-on Tools Empire Nationals, presented by Parts Pro. Beautiful day for racing, although that strong breeze is giving some of the drivers some problems, and the temperature is beginning to drop below 80 degrees now. The wind keeps up, and the humidity is still quite high at 66%. Now we move to the quarterfinals in Pro Modified. There is Dale Westfall from Cattaraugus, New York, in his 65 Chevy Corvette. His opponent, the father of the category, Bill Kuhlman from Wentzville, Missouri.
You know, Westfall's only shot on this, frankly, is to take a shot on the tree. Kuhlman, who qualified number 5 and in the first round ran a 6.79 against Westfall's number 13 qualifying slot and only a 7.01 in round number 1.
Both of these cars powered by 526 cubic inch Oldsmobile power plants, both of them blown, running alcohol.
The Summit Parts car across the line first, as predicted and expected, with a 680, 100 slower than his first round run.
Now there's Chuck Peterson, who'll be on our next pair, but first here's Brett.
I only have one question for you. Why is this thing only going 680?
Well, it's not mail order parts, I can tell you that.
It's got to be something that's bugging you. Is it something you just can't find?
We can't find it because when we step it up, for some reason, we'll outpower the middle of the track. We slow it down, we'll come down clean, then we got to balance. What do you want to do? Get down here or take a chance on getting down here? It's tough.
You're not going to have a choice, though, in the next round.
No, the next round's going to be, you know, we're going to need a miracle or some more mail order parts from Summit.
I think Bill Kuhlman knows what's coming. Now here's Chris Hunt from Killen, Alabama, runner-up at the Super Nationals in his home state at Steele, Alabama. His opponent, Chuck Peterson, the trucking company owner from Dakota Dunes, South Dakota.
Peterson really has it together with that big Pinzall car this year. Qualified number 2, unqualified number 10. But listen to this. Hunt ran a 6.76 in the first round. Peterson out of shape against the center line. Had to shut it down, Bob.
Boy, Peterson had a great reaction time of 4:11. Chris Hunt takes the easy win. Peterson just got out to the middle of the track, had to shut it down or risk going over the center line.
We'll look at it one more time. Watch Peterson now to see where the trouble begins. He's not even off the pad yet, and already he's got that thing coming around sideways. Tries to correct, does a nice driving job. Now the car starts pulling violently toward the center line, and that's the time, folks, to shut it down and get out of it.
So we have one blown and one nitrous-boosted car thus far in the semifinals. Now here comes the Killer Red Tomato, the 1940 Willys, a three-time and defending series champ, Scotty Cannon. His opponent, Jim Halsey from Street, Maryland. We seem to be talking about Halsey everywhere we go. He is always in the thick of it.
Halsey has really come along this year with that big 706 cubic inch Chevrolet engine, qualifying number 9 here today against, as normal, Scotty Cannon qualifying number 1. Cannon is running 660s, the rest of the blown cars and Halsey's nitrous car running 680s. So Cannon has the field covered by about 2/10.
But for all of his great qualifying and 2 runner-up performances this year, Scotty Cannon has yet to win a national event.
Good green light start for both drivers. Halsey was out first with a 494. He has problems, is forced to shut it down. Scotty Cannon living a charmed life with a 665.
At just a 5:20 reaction time, Scotty Cannon almost gave this one up. Halsey out first with a 494, but problems in the beautiful green and white Corvette, and Cannon just pulled away from him.
The brakes hanging on the starting line?
Really, before when I rolled in, I said, well, it'll stop by itself. I let the handbrake off. Then when I pulled in just now, it just stopped by itself without my hand even on the brake. I'd put it on coming down. So it has to be doing it on the starting line.
Yeah, it might be somebody in the stands with some kind of infrared transmitter, like locking up your brakes on. Did you ever think of it that way?
I just hope they do it 2 more rounds.
Yeah, right.
That's Scotty. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. A foul start for Shannon Jenkins gave Carl Moyer the victory in the other bracket. So it'll be Cannon against Kuhlman and Hunt against Boyer in the semifinals of Pro Mod. Now here's Brett Kepner with a track fact.
Throughout the 1994 season, the Autolabs weather instrument people have made tremendous strides at making things a whole lot easier for both professional and sportsman category racers. Classic example, this brand new automatic altitude adjuster. Before, when you wanted to find out the corrected altitude at any given time, you had to do it with math, either a calculator or a pencil and paper. But now with just a glance, this incredible piece of equipment, while picking up the weather readings through sensors, automatically corrects the altitude and lets tuners know where to set everything before each run. With this kind of ease of maintenance, that's about 5 extra minutes they've got to do more important things.
And every minute counts in the rebuild between rounds. Alcohol Funny Cars up next. The Scotchgard Automotive Protectors 3M National Drag Racing Series comes for round 5 to Leicester, New York. Right now it's time for Big Daddy Don Garlitz with this week's edition of Inside Scoop, brought to you by Mopar.
I'm sure most of you have heard of or perhaps even seen a top fuel blowover. This is a horrifying experience for both the driver and the crew who stand helplessly on the starting line and watch this phenomena take place. And I'm certain that many of you have asked, how could this be prevented, or perhaps what has caused it? I will try to help you with these questions. First of all, we remove the front of the car and we see a lead ballast. By increasing this lead ballast, that would tend to hold the front end of the car down. But even that lead would not be enough at high speed. That will only hold the car's front end down during the initial start of the race. Down course, we rely on these 2 little front wings. These wings, in a neutral position, will produce about 1,200 pounds of down pressure. So the crew usually has 4 or 5 positions that these wings can be put in. But you don't want to give it too much down pressure because you'll blow out these little front tires. So the crew has a very tricky position here. They have to have enough wing to hold the car down, but not so much that it tends to want to blow the tires out. And if the car is just slightly carrying the wheels, that's more traction on the back wheel. So you can see it's almost a catch-22. We don't like to see them, but we do like to see the cars go fast. So what are you going to do?
All right, thanks, Big Daddy. And nobody knows more about spectacular blowovers than Big. He had one of the biggest all time a few years back. We move to alcohol funny car semifinal action now. There was Walt Frisbel, the #1 qualifier out of Buffalo, New York. His opponent right there, Bobby Baucom from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Frisbel qualifying #1 has been running 16 6-0s. He should easily pick up this round and probably make it into the final. Bobby Baucom, on the other hand, has been running mid-6s.
Up come the RPM. Both cars a clean launch. The advantage goes to Baucom off the start, but Frisbel drives around him and then hits the center line.
Frisbel will be disqualified. Bobby Baucom picks up the victory with a 6:36. Frisbel had to slow to a 52. Take one more look at it. Oh, he turns right there and aims at the starting line, trying to correct. Does. Corrects again. Here he comes right along the sideline, and out he goes. The tire touches the yellow.
He just ran out of racetrack. Now here's the former world champion, Mark Thomas. Clutch problems last year had him absolutely out to lunch. Todd Payton came on to take the world championship. Payton not racing this weekend, however, and Thomas seems to be back on track. His opponent, Corky East from Papillion, Nebraska, owner of the Nebraska Motorplex at Scribner. We'll be seeing a little bit later on this summer.
Mark Thomas qualified #2. He's running teams. He's on a roll this year, and it looks like a great race right here. Side by side, you could throw a blanket over him. It's going to be Mark Thomas. 6:13, 226 miles per hour. What a race. We've got to have another look at that one. Right picking him up now at about the 300-foot mark. Mark Thomas right beside Corky East. Here they go, right into the lights. It's anybody's drag race. No one could tell and stop it. Who won it? Let's call in the Advanced Auto Parts photo finish. Look at that. Less than a foot, about 4 inches.
Just when you think the car's running good, somebody comes up and nearly nails you. 6:13 again. Corky ran a 15 and left on you. It was only 0.02 of a second win down there.
Yeah, I tell you what, you know, the car pulled away and I never saw him. I never saw him. And all of a sudden, I hit the lights and I saw his nose right there. And I said, what the heck? I was amazed. But we did win that deal, huh?
Yeah, you did, but not by much, Mark. Now here is Al Billis from Canada, making his first appearance at Leicester, New York as an alcohol funny driver. This was Al Billis back in 1991, driving a Pro Modified up against local favorite Fred Hahn.
Al Billis was in the final right here at Leicester and bumped off Hahn, picking up the victory now in an alcohol funny car.
Going up against Canadian countryman Herb Rogers, a 93 Oldsmobile Achieva, up against a 92 Ford Thunderbird, at least in terms of bodywork.
Billis qualified #3 with a nice 6:21. Rogers #6. Good start for these cars. A little bit of bobble there and a little handling problem. It'll be Al Billis with a 6:09. Absolutely incredible. Boy, does he ever serve notice to the rest of the field.
Now Scott Weiss and Tony Bogelow up next. Meanwhile, let's hear from our previous winner.
It's no secret that it has been a bizarre year. I won't necessarily say rough, but bizarre changeover to alcohol funny car for you. You've had your problems here and there. That may have been the one run where everything fell together. 6:09.
6:09. Yeah, we've been struggling a little bit this weekend. Every time we come to a national event, it seems like that. We struggle for a while, and then it...
And you're doing good in match races.
Yeah, we run a bunch of 6-0s in match races, and we get this far in the national events. Maybe we can go further this time.
Yeah, and if it's coming together this late, then you know that you're sneaking up on everybody else, too.
I hope so.
Good job.
Thank you.
So Al Billis moves on. We have one more semifinalist to pick. On the left, Tony Bogelow. On the right, Scott Weiss, a winner earlier this year. Great launch.
Bogelow, all sorts of problems. Scott Weiss, out of shape, almost hit the line, had to lift, and goes across first with a 6:56, but nearly lost that drag race.
No question about it. He'll give up lane choice in his battle with Bobby Baucom, and Mark Thomas will go up against Al Billis in the semifinals of Alcohol Funny Car. We'll be back after a quick timeout to take a look at Top Fuel. Stay with us for more from New York. Back at New York International Raceway Park, where we have good weather conditions for the moment. Hang around, it could get worse at any time. Right now, the guys who don't rely on the weather, they make their own horsepower and lots of it. Top Fuel dragster, nitromethane burning machines, 5,500 horsepower. There is Doug Foxworth from Texas. At our most recent event in Steele, Alabama, Brett Kettner pointed out that the torque on these cars is in the area of 4,600 foot-pounds. An absolutely staggering number.
You know, that's how much pressure there is trying to tear that motor right out of the chassis. It's trying to turn it over.
Doug Foxworth going up against former funny car driver Al Segrini from Poston, Massachusetts. Our first look at Al in a Top Fuel car.
Number 4 and number 5 qualifiers. Foxworth not having a real good year. Oh, he's having a good run, though. He straps one on Segrini with a 529 and a nice 508 light.
265 miles an hour. Now here comes Mike Smith from Fish Creek, Wisconsin. This is sort of a love doubles match coming on right now, because in the other lane, his fiancée, Rhonda Hartman from Williamston, South Carolina, who picked up her first Top Fuel national event victory at our most recent event in Steele, Alabama, with the former world champion Doug Herbert in the next lane. 19-year-old Rhonda never looked up and picked up the win.
Rhonda killed him with consistency, and she's doing it again. She was running 520s down at Steele. She qualified here this weekend with a 528. Rhonda on a run against Mike Smith. 517 for Rhonda Hartman. One of the best ETs for her today over Mike Smith's losing 518. She won it right off the starting line, folks. A 531 to a 536 reaction time. Watch young Rhonda Hartman now as she slowly starts to pull away from Smith. Opening the lead at the 8-mile mark, right down to the finish line. Rhonda Hartman by less than 2 feet.
A lot of oil behind the motor, but one of the closest possible drag races. That was side by side, 517 to a losing 518, 16 thousandths of the finish line. That was tight.
Wow, I was worried about Mike because I know he always cuts good reactions against me, and I knew I had to cut a good reaction time, and I knew our car was going to do it. That left lane is great, and I knew we would have it, and I hope we get this whole race and have a back-to-back win.
You know, it had to be a good feeling for you to watch Doug Foxworth ahead of you go down clean, because nobody knew what this track was going to be like today.
Yeah, we had trouble in the right lane all during qualifying. That left lane's really great, and we knew either something was going to happen. He was going to either smoke tires or something, because there's a point right there where everyone was smoking the tires, so we knew that left lane was going to be good for us.
Another step. Great job.
Well, I'd like to say thanks to everybody.
And thank you, Rhonda. Now there is Butch Blair, an excavator from California. There is Jim Bailey in the car that took Richard Langston to the World Championship last year. We mentioned Langston is here, but he did not qualify. Butch Blair, 25-year drag racing veteran, racing sand dragsters out in California. And there is Jim Bailey, who was runner-up with a red light in the finals at the Winter Nationals in Darlington to open the season, won the Spring Nationals, and now is looking for that World Championship in his rookie season.
He also qualified number 1 with a 5:15 when the rest of the field couldn't get out of the 20s. You're on board with him in the Advanced Auto Parts in-car camera, and you can see the competitor pull away. What a frustration. Butch Blair picks up the victory of 5:24.
I think Jim Bailey tried to pedal this one, and it didn't work. Good, clean launch there, but watch the right lane as he comes off the launch pad and the tires go up in smoke, and he never really lifts.
No, he stays right in, hoping that it'll grab a hold and he can come around Blair, but he can't. Finally, he lifts as Blair hits the finish line.
Now, here is the defending champion here at the Empire Nationals, Pontiac Jack Ostrander, who owns the 300 Lanes, a bowling alley back in Michigan.
Back in 1993, last year's Empire Nationals, it was Pontiac Jack who picked up the victory and shocked the entire pit area.
Well, it might be a shock if he's able to get out of this first round, because he goes up against the former world champion, Doug Herbert, who is coming on really strongly this year.
Doug Herbert's had his share of problems, though, including this weekend. He qualified number 7, almost didn't get into the field. Talk about a smoking contest. Doug Herbert, a 5:27 to pick up the victory to a losing 5:57 for Jack.
That smoky 5:27 could be bad news for the rest of the field, as Herbert will meet Hartman, Blair will meet Foxworth in the semis.
I don't ever remember seeing a racetrack change so quickly. This is crazy.
Oh, it is crazy. It's, you know, when I seen the Figali run 520s in front of us, I thought,
Wow, hope we got after it enough.
And that'd give you a little confidence getting in the right lane, too, when you saw Bailey smoke him.
Yeah, it sure seemed like it.
5:27. There was a little bit of flame at the finish line. It may have just been out of the pipes.
Yeah, 5:27. It's actually kind of about what we were thinking we were going to run because, you know, last night we smoked tires and we didn't want to get after it quite that hard.
We'll take a quick timeout, and when we return, we'll go back to Pro Stock and begin our coverage of the semifinals. Stay with us. Back at Leicester, New York at the Snap-on Tools Empire Nationals, here's Brett Kepner in the pits area.
In Carl Moyer's pit area, a new motor goes in between the frame rails of the world's quickest nitrous oxide injected passenger car, but it's a beauty. This is the engine that ran 6.64 seconds at 210 miles per hour in 95-degree heat only a few weeks ago in winning the Super Nationals in Alabama. Although the initial engine that had powered Carl into the semifinals has a burned piston, they don't have enough time to fix it, and besides, they know this one is a heck of a motor.
All right, thank you, Brett. Bob Barsha and Ted Jones ready to carry you into the semifinals of Pro Stock. There is Harold Denton from Middlesex, North Carolina, and that beautiful 94 Firebird, formerly owned by the late Jim Ruth, who also owned Bristol International Dragway, Thunder Valley in Bristol, Tennessee, and the International Hot Rod Association. His opponent, 39-year-old Floyd Cheek from Chattanooga, Tennessee, in a 92 Ford Probe, 810 cubic inches of Ford power.
Harold Denton did not get a whole shot that he desperately needed to run with this 6-second car of Floyd Cheek. Easy win for Cheek as he picks up the victory with a 693.
And that's a bit of a surprise. Harold Denton is normally a very good starter. In the other semifinal, a red light for young Robert Patrick, who leapt off the line, but to no avail. Doug Kirk, the defending world champion, picked up the easy win. And so it'll be Kirk against Cheek, the defending champ, looking for his first win of the year.
A thrash and a half is going on at Bill Coleman's Summit Racing Equipment pit area as they are doing something you don't see happen very often in pro modified racing, and that's a change of the bottom end engine bearings. The crankshaft bearings were burned on Bill's second round win, and going into the semifinals, he didn't need this kind of aggravation. They were still trying to figure out how to make the car get even more competitive. But right now, Coleman's going to have to work for his final round spot.
No question about it. You see Bill Coolman going to work. Now, there are showers on the horizon. We're going to have to work hard to get this one in. Meanwhile, here's Brett Kepner with this week's edition of Drag Review.
The recent rash of 210 mile per hour pro modified speeds give an indication that maybe the pro modifieds are ready to return to the speed levels they had achieved almost 3 seasons ago. Back in the first year of pro modified as an eliminator category, speeds over 210 were not that unusual. But a switch to much larger top fuel and funny car style tires slowed the cars on the other end because the nitrous injected and supercharged alcohol engines were only making 1,800 horsepower, not enough to pull the tires at the previous 215 mile an hour speeds. Now, at this event, with Scotty Cannon's near world record terminal velocities, even with the funny car sized tires, it appears that the machines are now approaching 2,000 horsepower, enough to bring the cars back up to the tremendous top end charges they were once noted for. In Top Fuel Eliminator here at the Snap-on Tools Empire Nationals, it's the return of a fabled name. The defending Top Fuel World Champion Richard Langston is finally back on the IHRA trail. You may remember at the season opening Winter Nationals, Jim Bailey appeared as the replacement driver in the Pfeiffer & Sons car that Langston took to the world title victory last year. But now Langston has picked up a ride. R.J. Trotter's Southern California-based machine and its group of Top Fuel Incorporated investors. Richard Langston talked about the frustration he is dealing with starting the season so late.
We can't make it up in the championship points, but I think by the next couple of races we can maybe get competitive. What we're doing here today is just trying to get up to speed. And we got one more shot at it. I wish we had 2 more. You're always one shot away from getting it figured out, you know.
Well, at this point, the most Richard Langston can hope for is a few good races throughout the remainder of 1994. Obviously, he's got to be looking forward to the 1995, 6, and 7 seasons. With the potential he showed last year, winning that world championship in the final round of the final race, Richard Langston has proven his capabilities. All he needs is a car that can back him up. That's this edition of Drag Review.
All right, thank you, Brett. And as mentioned, Richard Langston did not qualify, but he was very close, and we look forward to seeing him again. Now here comes Carl Moyer, the car dealer from Ankeny, Iowa. His opponent, just 24 years old, Chris Hunt from Killen, Alabama. Moyer, our first and thus far only 2-time national winner this year. He has taken the last 2 pro-modified races successively.
This pairing will assure us of having a nitrous-injected car in the finals. Chris Hunt's been doing very well on the IHRA trail, qualified number 10. Carl Moyer, number 3. Obviously, Moyer should win this, but anything goes at Leicester. Problems for Carl Moyer as he broke right off the line. Chris Hunt on a roll. Yes! 6.81 seconds to pick up the victory.
You are the kiss of death, aren't you, my friend? Anything can happen in racing, and it did to Carl Moyer right there. Now here comes the killer red tomato of Scotty Cannon, the three-time and defending class champion. And here comes Bill Kuhlman. Meanwhile, let's hear from Brett.
Coming into this race, we talked about the top 6 being so close, and who's marching through the field? Number 6. This is really starting to really help this team now.
Boy, we're really trying hard. We were real tied up in there with them, and the qualifying hurt us a little bit, but hopefully we're moving on back up now.
681, and that's not where it was.
I fattened it up a little bit, thinking that's what it needed, but I made a major mistake there, and hopefully we can get it back for the next round. We're going to
okay. Second consecutive final.
We take it.
Take your breaks where you can find them, Chris. Now, the matter of Kuhlman versus Cannon. Talk about the Hatfields and the McCoys. Seems like we're watching these guys in every national event, Ted.
Anything can happen when these two guys meet. Obviously, Scotty's been on a rip over Kuhlman. Look at him pull away. No surprise. Scotty Cannon, 664, 100th quicker than his previous run. Kuhlman did pick it up to a 677, but that wasn't enough. Let's look at it one more time. Scotty Cannon actually had to correct as he was moving into the center line. Scotty Cannon, a great driving job. He gets it straightened out, crosses the finish line, a good 2 car lengths ahead.
And you can see the conditions getting darker and cooler. That's going to make it tougher on these engine tuners. It'll be Cannon against Hunt in the finals of Pro Mod. Now over in Butch Blair's Top Fuel pit, typically frenzied activity.
You better believe it. They're wrenching on that car, completely rebuilding the bottom end. New crank, new bearing, everything, getting ready for the next round.
Back at New York International Raceway Park, the weather continues to close in as we get set for semifinals of Top Fuel. There goes Doug Foxworth. Here comes Butch Blair. It'll be a battle of the Texans against the Californians. The jackets are out. The temperature getting down into the low 70s now. Great for making horsepower.
The fans are into this. They love Top Fuel drag racing up here in northern New York. And what 2 better cars on the line could we have for this semifinal showdown? Butch Blair, the Bagawi car, named after the Indian tribe, or so I'm told.
Good launches, no signs of tire smoke, even at half track.
What a race, Butch Blair. 524, 277 miles per hour. Bumped off Foxworth. We got to see that again. Front end off the ground for Doug Foxworth. Settles it down now. But here comes Bugawi. Right up beside him. Pulls him as they go into the 8-mile mark. Now a little bit of haze off of Foxworth tires. That's the story, folks. Looking at it with our Advanced Auto Parts photo finish. About a half a car length.
Now here comes Doug Herbert, deliberately lighting up those hides in his burnout. Great crowd on hand enjoying the action, heating up those tires. He'll be going up against the sensation of the Top Fuel season thus far, 19-year-old Rhonda Hartman, looking for her second straight Top Fuel win.
Remember, Rhonda cranked out that shocking 5:17 in the first round. You know that Herbert's got to be thinking about that. He could only muster up a 5:27. Add to that the fact she put him on the trailer last time she ran him.
That's right. This is a rematch at steel. Rhonda Hartman lifts the front end and then drops it.
Oh, how sweet the revenge is for Doug Herbert. A 5:14. There, take that, Rhonda.
Watch the right lane as Hartman's car lifts the front end, and she has to get out of it to bring it down.
Is revenge sweet or what?
Oh, it's real sweet. As soon as I went home last week, everybody, why'd you let that girl beat you? Oh, well, I didn't choose that, I promise. But Brissette gives me a hunt. I knew I don't let that girl. They don't let her whole shot you anyways. You know. So whew, I kept looking for her down there because it kind of quit. I guess it's spinning the tires or something about 800 feet.
You would have had to look back and up. Apparently, she did a pretty good wheel stand up there.
No kidding. Well, it's all in one piece. So
5:14 low ET of the mat, quickest run on this track in 2 years.
All right.
But she did whole shot you a 5:05 to a 5:10, Dougie.
It'll be Blair against Herbert in the finals of Top Fuel. Now it's time for the professor. Here's Roy Hill with the driver's school.
In previous schools, you've seen us suit up, buckle up, and get in the race car. We've had phone calls, letters. How do you crank the car? The cars you drive around are done with keys. We don't need keys. To crank a race car, you reach up, turn the fuel pump on, the fan switch, go to the power switch, push the clutch in, spin the motor over, and it cranks up. We're now ready to go to the starting line, stage the car, and in next week's school, we will teach you how to stage the car.
All right, thank you, Roy. We'll look forward to that. Now we go to the semifinals of Alcohol Funny Car. There's the former world champ, grain farmer Mark Thomas from Louisville, Ohio, and his opponent, Al Billis from Barrie, Ontario.
Al Billis, a newcomer to the alcohol ranks, although not a newcomer to burning alcohol with a blower as he came up from the pro modified ranks. Now he wants to play around with the floppers. Taking a look inside that body, both cars ready to stage. Now Billis qualified number 3, Thomas number 2. What a race this is going to be.
The start by 2/1000ths of a second. Billis away first. A little smoke for Thomas. What a drag race.
Al Billis, 6.19, 228 miles per hour, puts the former world champ on the trailer.
And that derails Mark Thomas's season. He was on the comeback trail, really looking for a victory here. Got a little squirrely in that left lane off the line. That wisp of blue tire smoke, that's all Billis needed to get about a half a car length on him and take it to the end.
I can see a fairly disgusted Mark Thomas over there. I don't think he likes you anymore.
Probably not, huh?
619, though. I'm wondering if you didn't start thinking that was getting cool enough that you wanted to back it down, or did it shake?
It shook pretty bad in second gear.
Well, that indicates, I guess, you're going to have to back it down if it stays this cool.
Yeah, we're going to have to. Our biggest thing is try and learn how to back it down. What's the right move?
That's a good point. At this point, you're learning as you go.
That's right. That's right.
You're learning well.
Thanks a lot.
Al Billis from the famous Billis Racing family in Canada. His father, Dave, works on engine construction. Our next pair will be Bobby Baucom and Scott Weiss. You saw Baucom coming to the line with the help of a crewman. There is Scott Weiss, a very happy winner earlier this year at the Spring Nationals.
Weiss, the big spoiler, qualified number 4, Bobby Baucom number 9. Remember, he beat number 1, Walt Principal, in the most previous round, and a break right off the line for Scott Weiss. Bobby Baucom, a charmed event. 6.34 to pick up the victory. He's in the finals, folks.
Bobby Baucom, the number 9 qualifier, by far the highest qualifier still in the semifinals, but he looks like the man to beat. He'll be going up against Al Billis, and we'll be back with more in a moment if it doesn't rain. Welcome back to the 7th annual Snap-on Tools Empire Nationals, presented by Parts Pro. And it looks like the weather is going to hold off long enough for us to get in happy hour. Finals in all 4 of our professional classes, beginning with Pro Stock. Let's look at Floyd Cheek, and this is Doug Kirk in his 19th career final. He has 11 victories. He's looking for his first in 1994.
Kirk qualified number 2, Floyd Cheek number 1. This is the way it's supposed to happen. Number 1 and 2 meet up in the finals, the battle of the mountain motors. Cheek with 810 cubic inches of Ford, Kirk with GM Power, 802 inches.
1,600 cubic inches if you prefer. And both men very quick starters. This could be a real battle on the Christmas tree.
Cheek's been running those pokey 690s all day long. Good green light start. Out first was Floyd Cheek. Here he comes, trying to track down Kirk. No, sir. Doug Kirk, 691 to pick up the victory.
And he had to drive around Cheek to do it. In the right lane, Cheek got away 3/100ths of a second quicker. Doesn't sound like much, but in drag racing, it's an eternity. But then Doug came on strong, had him side by side at half track, and just eked out the win at the line.
What a comeback, though. And you had to drive around him in the final. It was only 10,000ths at the finish.
I'll tell you what, Floyd's a real good racer. And I know that he wouldn't guess, and I know that it'd be a good race if we both done our normal thing, but I can't say enough for New York's been good to me. We've been here 4 years, and I think this makes my 3rd win here.
Boy, that'll That'll make your season in a hurry if you can race with that kind of consistency. Venting that nitrous oxide for the top of the car, 24-year-old Chris Hunt. Boy, has he jumped into the deep end of this final. He's going up against the three-time and defending champion, Scotty Cannon, and the killer Red Tomato 1940 Willys.
Chris Hunt has been the bridesmaid 2 times. Scotty Cannon has 14 victories and 8 times to be runner-up at a national event. Cannon qualified number 1, Hunt number 10. Jack the Giant Killer he hopes to be.
Oh, Scotty Cannon gets way out to the left side of the lane, but it doesn't matter as long as he can keep it on the black stuff.
What a way to pick up your first victory for 1994. Hey, Scotty, take it any way you can get it. 682. Look at Hunt as he lifted the tires off, and he was done right at that point.
I'm real interested to find out if that was just one big sweep of luck right there. Did it hurt itself?
Kick the rods out of it, I believe.
No kidding. Murdered the motor.
Yeah. Well, we fix all that.
Was it worth it to finally get as you say, a 94 statue?
It was worth it. I don't think on that. Everybody for helping my friends back home for all my support. We've been in the slump. We had some rough, hard 3 months, but we're on our way now, guys.
No question about it. Scotty Cannon has had to overcome personal as well as professional troubles to pick up that first victory. Now we may even get a taste of sunshine for the alcohol funny car final. Here is Al Billis. His first final as an alcohol flopper driver. His opponent, Bobby Baucom. Talk about a seasoned veteran. Billis is really going to have his hands full here.
This has been the charmed event for Bobby Baucom. Number 9 qualifier had to bump off number 1 to be here, and he did that. Then he bumped off number 4, Scott Wise. Here he is against Billis, upset-minded one more time. He has 1 victory and 1 runner-up in his career.
Identical reaction times, 4:69 for each man, but Billis just drives away.
Look at that, a 6:16 for Al Billis. Boy, the crew celebrating, everybody happy. Al Billis puts up his first ever funny car victory.
No, sir, it doesn't mean much to them. Here's Brett Kepner on the big end.
Congratulations from former alcohol funny car racer Jim Bailey to the man who has just become the first to win 2 different pro categories in a long time. This is an elite club.
Oh, this is great. And I got to thank my crew, everyone, my father, Jim Bailey's been helping us out. It's great. I love it. Finally a win. Jeff, Chris, Donna, Tim, everybody. It's great.
And I should point out, this is basically hometown for Billis.
Oh, yeah, it's home. This is great. It's home.
Unbelievable. Man, this is an accomplishment halfway through your first year, and you won.
Not bad. Hey, what a run.
6:16. I almost forgotten all the excitement.
That doesn't matter. Thanks a lot.
Great job.
Boy, I tell you what, Al Billis is a totally different interview when he actually wins that statue at the end of the day. Couldn't get 3 words out of him earlier, and now he's just thanking everybody. Congratulations, Al. Let's move on now to the final. The finale of every IHRA championship drag race. 26-year-old Doug Herbert, the former Top Fuel world champion, against 52-year-old Butch Blair. Talk about experience against youth and enthusiasm.
We told you this was an unusual event, especially in Top Fuel at the beginning of the show. This is the number 7 and 8 qualifiers meeting in the final. It's supposed to be number 1 and 2, but folks, this is New York. It's how it happens at this event.
If you can win it there, you can win it anywhere. Oh, boiling the hides, Doug Herbert. Butch Blair's going to win it. I can't believe it.
Unbelievable. Anything can happen at this event, including the number 8 qualifier, Butch Blair, picking up his first ever national event win, 5:23, 273 miles per hour. Watch this again. Up in smoke. Doug Herbert has problems. That's all Blair needed. Fugawi.
You might wonder, and now you know, this is the face of a man who has worked all his life in the sport of drag racing to win a national event, and you've done it. You should have dialed this thing at 5:24, like we said, 5:23.
All right. Well, we're picking up. That's good.
5:30, Herbert was right behind you, but this is the culmination of a career since, what, 1980 that you moved out of sand drag racing, I believe?
Yeah, right. That's 82, actually. Yeah.
I mean, you were the king of that sport for many, many years, and this is what it all boils down to.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. I want to thank the Havoc bunch and the Fiber bunch. You know, after you left our camp, we had an engine change. We fired up. We was ready to go. We had an oil seal had leaked out, so we had to really do some thrashing, and wasn't for all my competitors, so as to say, we wouldn't be here. So
Well, that's the kind of spirit we expect in IHRA drag racing, and it has been a most entertaining afternoon. Stay with us. We'll wrap things up in a moment. Welcome back to New York International Raceway Park, where the 7th annual Snap-on Tools Empire Nationals presented by Parts Pro has been as unpredictable as we expected. You don't think it matters to these crews? Give a listen.
About time, man.
You gotta frame
Frame it.
Thanks a lot, Tom.
A big moment for Butch Blair, but it really mattered to the runner-up, Doug Herbert, as it enabled him to move into 3rd place behind Rhonda Hartman and points leader Jim Bailey. Looking over at the other professional category, Pro Stock, Floyd Cheek with a very slight lead over Charlie Garrett. Roy Hill is in hot pursuit in 3rd place. What a war going on in Pro Stock. And in Pro Modified, Scotty Cannon begins to lengthen that lead like he does every year. Carl Moyer in hot pursuit, as is Chris Hunt and Bill Kuhlman, who would love to catapult up to that number 2 position. In Alcohol Funny Car, Mark Thomas would like to take back the World Championship. Todd Payton and Al Phillips, almost tied, have different ideas. Ricky Bowie in 4th place.
What a great year of competition we've got going on the Scotchgard Automotive Protectors 3M National Series. A few years ago, this was Al Billis picking up a victory in Pro Mod right here at Leicester, New York. This year, he joined some pretty select company, Ted.
Indeed he does. Very few people have ever won in 2 professional categories back-to-back years.
I'm Bob Barsha for Ted Jones and Brett Kepner. Thanks for being with us. Our next stop will be the Snap-on Tools Summer Nationals from Scribner, Nebraska, August 7th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for being with us. So long from Leicester, New York.